To begin this morning, we've got so much going on, but we'll start, Joe, with the sudden resignation of Nikki Haley.
Yeah, David Ignatius, doesn't really seem to be much of a reason for Nikki Haley to resign at this point. There was talk that she was going to go through the end of the year, but in a resignation letter, which was dated October 3rd, Ambassador Haley said she was proud of what she'd accomplished, proud of what her team accomplished. And after, quote, 14 straight years of being in public service, she is looking forward to running to actually returning to the private sector. I think that was a Freudian slip, I suppose, because it sure seems like she has been, if there's been anybody that the White House has been worried about running in a primary in 2020, it would be Nikki Haley. And as you look back at her service, I think she is one of the few members that has remained independent and has stuck pretty steadfast to a traditional U.S. foreign policy position.
Joe, she's the rare person in the Trump team who's managed to really keep her reputation, her dignity, her sense of independence entirely intact. We sometimes say people who get touched by Trump come away tarnished, diminished. That hasn't been true with Nikki Haley. She has a good sense of timing, and you could say this is just the right moment for her to say, time for me to move on, do other things. I read this announcement yesterday as her campaign announcement for 2024. I don't see her running in 2020. I don't think any Republican thinks he or she really can take on Donald Trump right now. If something should happen to Trump, if there's some catastrophic event, legal or otherwise, she's well positioned. I think the other thing to say about Nikki Haley is that with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, with National Security Advisor John Bolton, there was a little more lean on her. During the Rex Tillerson period, when Tillerson was so reticent, almost invisible, Nikki Haley at the UN was really the voice of American foreign policy publicly. That's not true now, and I'll bet that's also a factor.
You know, Willie, there always has been talk about Nikki Haley possibly running in 2020. David's talking about 2024. If my theory holds, Donald Trump won't seek re-election. And this way, she's not lining up behind Mike Pence. She's getting out in front of everything. And if you get out before the midterm elections, which could possibly go pretty badly, well, then that stain's not on you. You were already on your way out.
Yeah, she's 46 years old. She's got a lot of road ahead of her. Now she's got 2 years of foreign policy experience that she can talk about if she ever does decide to run for higher office. And Susan, you were writing about this last week before we had any idea that Nikki Haley was going to leave, that you say, should jump in 2020. I think more like Joe says, as a safety valve, maybe if President Trump, something comes up in the Russia investigation, for some reason he does not run again, she could be there. But she's not going to primary Donald Trump, right?
I probably not, but I think she should be ready to. We look at Donald Trump's numbers. He's always hovering around 40%. And if the Democrats take back the House as we expected, there's going to be an awful lot of investigations. We're going to see more on his taxes. We're going to see more in his business, and never mind the actual running of his government and the Mueller report. So I think my call to her was be ready to go, and I don't think she'll wait till 2024. And the reason is we've learned since Barack Obama, you no longer wait your turn in politics. You take it when you can. And this will be her time. I don't think she'll wait till 2024.
And Mika, clearly this is on the mind of Nikki Haley, because in those remarks yesterday where she sat next to President Trump, she introduced, without being asked, the concept of 2020 and said, I'm not going to run against Donald Trump in a couple of years.
Interesting. I do think, though, you don't wait Donald Trump out. You step up and get in his face, and maybe she will. You never know.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.